Throughout this year, I've been uploading on a much more frequent basis than my previous years. It's been fun going over the properties of manga and comics and talking about what makes them special, or going into specific writing techniques and styles. In the comments of these videos, I've seen a multitude of artists and creators who appreciated the insight, and it truly warmed my heart when they came to say how my videos have helped their own process of making a better comic or manga. With that in mind, I decided to put up my own money to hold a community competition for everyone involved, in giving out two very illustrious awards, one for Best Art and another for Best Story. I'll admit when I started this, I was super nervous about it becoming a total flop in terms of people not submitting anything. At the date of the initial deadline, I only had 2 entries, and it wasn't until I saw people saying that they would like an extension that we pushed it back to December 1st. That resulted in a ton of entries and support, and I'm happy to say that at the end of the competition, we had 9 entries, which absolutely blew past my initial expectations, and I sincerely want to take the time to thank everyone who was involved. Before getting into the entries though, I want to make a few notes and discuss some of the adjustments to the rules that I originally set out with, some things that I didn't account for, and then finally what my criteria was for all entries. Very quickly, the rule changes were as follows. The first being the way to submit. I originally said that it needed to be submitted on r/panelflow and have all of the images either directly uploaded to Reddit or on Imgur. By the way, go over there now and see all the entries and winners for yourself. I didn't know/account for issues that came from that, specifically with Reddit having a maximum limit for pictures that you can upload at once. That requirement was waived pretty quickly as people brought up some alternative options like Manga Plus creators, which I didn't actually know was a thing beforehand. I also adjusted the maximum length of entries. The rule was there initially just to make sure that someone didn't drop a whole novel and it takes me a weekend to review it, and I felt like if something was too long it would have unfairly balanced the playing field for everyone. So while some went over the initial 40-page maximum, I didn't think it was egregious on any case, so I allowed the entries. Now with all the boring stuff out of the way, let's go over what my criteria were and some of the things that I learned from the process. One of the things I like to do with any comic or manga, whether it be professionally made or through more amateur works like what was submitted in the competition, the hard baselines were the following. I was looking for a plot that made sense from story beat to story beat and had a consistency with the art on display and a flow from panel to panel to ensure that something was easy to read. I think these are probably the biggest hurdles to any new author or artist, and being able to show a real mastery of these 2 techniques really results in a better comic both for the reader and for the artist itself. Being able to show a mastery of these is going to retain a reader's interest throughout the process and make sure that it gets recommended to other readers as well. Being a critic here was interesting. While I'm obviously not at the level of a Shonen Jump editor who goes through dozens of entries a day, you do start to see their eye and what one should look for in a story. While reading these entries, I wrote down notes and feedback that I'm going to be sending to each artist. I want to be very clear to everyone. None of these are bad comics, even if they didn't win. If you are a contestant and didn't win, please, 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 not only for my sake, but your own sake and for your own aspirations, take or leave the feedback that I've given, try to see your work from an outside perspective, and utilize any of that feedback or your own internal reflection to make your next project the best project yet, or to adjust your current project to make it even better. No entry is perfect, even the winners. Just because something doesn't win an award doesn't mean that it has a bad or uninteresting story or that the art wasn't there. It's just that at the end of the day, eventually a line needs to be drawn, both figuratively and literally. For the feedback that I provide, I'm going to say that I won't be giving a ton of feedback past that, or else I'm going to end up with having 9 people messaging with edits and redraws and then coming back again afterwards, and there's no way that I can provide specific and detailed opinions to people when my time is being split up between too many parties. It wouldn't be fair to you at the end of the day. You can ask a clarifying question or two, but I just want to preempt the question now. In the past, I've been asked if I have any sort of commission fee or structure to do that sort of thing, and maybe in the future I would, but as of right now, I would probably take that as a case-by-case basis. With that being said, I want to take the time to thank each contestant personally and highlight their entry here for you. Each link to each story is down below. I will say that not all of these had pages with the preferred title and author's name, so when that happened and I didn't hear back, I just went by the username on Reddit. If someone wants their name changed, I won't re-upload this video, but I will adjust the description to reflect that. Probably a rule that I'll include next year just for my sake. But without further ado, the entries are as follows. The Faceless Reality by Coxmic. Next Lumina by AnnieHuman500. Cancerfish by President Cheese. Dance Now by Dai Shogun. A Warning from Evil by Alessandro Art Studio. Jacinto is a Werewolf by Pink Tulip. Tribun by Psychological Gear 31. Spiritus by Winesfly. And Jin Diesel by Kuahi Hema Funamati. All of these entries were great to read, and I really appreciated the time and effort that went into each one. Please take the time to go onto the subreddit from the links below and read each entry. The point of this is to showcase new artists and stories to the general public, giving authors a platform to bring more eyes to their works, so please go see each one for yourself. After this video goes live, I'm going to be adjusting the tags on the subreddit to reflect the winning entries, and I'll be reaching out to each artist with those pieces of feedback afterwards as well. So, without further ado, I'm happy to announce the winners from each category. Each winner is receiving $100, and I'll be messaging them with details as soon as I'm able. To those winners, if I don't hear back within 7 days, I'm going to say the prize is forfeit. We can work out the details later, but I need to know that you're around to get the prize. So first, Best Art. I am proud to announce the award is going to Jacinto is a Werewolf by Pink Tulip. This is a story of a young girl, Maya, who has a chance encounter with Jacinto, a demon werewolf on the run from two fearsome hellhounds that are determined to return Jacinto to hell. With interesting powers, characters, and action, along with some of the cutest character designs that I have seen, it was just a total joy to read. The reasons for winning Best Art are pretty simple. When you're reading this entry, you can clearly tell what's happening, and the panels flow so easily from page to page. The action is clear in its sequencing, the character designs are beyond adorable, and the emotions that they show are so well done that I feel like everyone should be able to learn from it. Just even small panels like these on the first page is something that I would expect to see in higher level art entries, which clearly show the impact and effect of the movement in this sequence, and Pink Tulip did so well during the rest of the comic in that same regard. The later action sequences are clear in what's happening, and when reading from page to page, you never get lost in this mad escape from the Hellhounds. The story itself is also great, with some great references and tie-ins throughout, so it's tied into a neat little bow. It is a must-read. So congratulations, Pink Tulip, I'll be messaging you for details. Second, for Best Story, I'm proud to announce that this award is going to The Faceless Reality by Coxmic. The Faceless Reality is a story of Laurel, busy and emotionally disconnected woman who accidentally enters a world where negative emotions express themselves as physical protrusions. As she explores this new world, she searches for a way to return back to her reality. When I was reading this, I had just a gut feeling that I was going to win Best Story within about 10 or so pages. The progression of the story was crystal clear. I was never confused on who did what, why the characters were acting a certain way, and once Laurel enters the alternate world, Coxmic effectively hooks the reader into the next piece of the story. It builds on itself so well, showcasing the realistic panic and fear of the main character, as well as making the reader want to know more. I found myself worrying for Laurel when she was in the thick of her predicament, and without spoiling, I was very happy with how it ended and that growth that we saw in Laurel's character just from this chapter alone. The art was also fantastic, which shouldn't be a surprise. Pushing the horror elements makes the reader turn the next page and turns into another must-read from the competition. Congratulations, Coxmic, I'll be reaching out to you for details as well. As a last note, without highlighting who it specifically was, one of the creators messaged me and said that their entry was kinda cringe and decided to enter anyway, and I want to say this again, even though I've said it in the past. If you're submitting something here, you have more guts and more ability than anyone who sits there saying, oh, well, I could do that, without ever actually doing it. There's no such thing as a cringe comic. Each one of these had something that I liked. Every single one. We are always our harshest critics, and I want any aspiring artist to know that. Get out there, make something, and be proud of it. Thank you again to everyone who submitted, and please either go down in the comments section to tell me which of the entries were your favorite, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video on what makes great comics and manga, and use these resources for the time next year's competition rolls around. I won't be accepting entries for next year yet, and I would imagine you can look forward to later in the year of 2024 for that announcement. So thank you again for watching, and this was how these panels flow.